Trevor's vacation was over before it began. Instead of sitting on the edge of a park in Sydney, watching the fireworks light up the sky with his friends, a few drinks in, making some great memories, he sat in a bar in a hotel by himself, while a woman glared at him. Not a friendly gesture, to say the least. All of this with the backdrop of a full bar, partying like there wasn't a tomorrow. In a way, there wasn't one, Trevor supposed. It was New Year's Eve, and the ball was going to drop soon. This is the sort of story that seems to happen accidentally, but somehow seems planned.
Are you kidding me? What about my flight? My travel arrangement?
It's not my problem.
You can't just kick me off my
They're
own.
overbooked. You'll be compensated.
That's not the point.
You should have a room reserved for you. Didn't the air marshal go over the details with you?
This is ridiculous.
And there Trevor stood, 20 minutes in a dirty, cramped cab to an unrecognizable hotel in a country he didn't speak the language of. The door opened with a strikingly beautiful girl, most of the way undressed in his room, caught like a deer in the headlights.
Is this the compensation?
She didn't have the same idea.
As the static fades and the voices fill the speakers, the road you're traveling, the room you're sitting in, it'll start to twist and turn, becoming something beyond ordinary, something beyond this world. Join us as we travel beyond the stars, deep underground, or in the innermost depths of the human mind. You just tuned into the Radioverse.
Or a sense of humor. Trevor mused as he rubbed the side of his cheek, which he was sure began to swell. Did she have to hit him with a lamp?
What do you mean the hotel is overbooked?
I'm sorry, sir, but the airline sent us a few passengers and we...
The concierge went on and on. Trevor swore she didn't know half the words she was saying, just like some sort of ridiculous script handed to her. Trevor knocked and knocked, holding his bags in his hands.
Are you masochistic or just plain stupid?
I don't like it any more than you do.
Oh yeah, I'm sure you just hate spending the night in my bed.
Don't put words in my mouth.
I don't have to. I saw the way you looked at me.
Listen, we got off to a bad start.
Bye-bye.
She slammed the door in his face. Trevor threw up his hands, dropping his bag.
Could this day get any worse?
Trevor, for the most part, giving up, decided he might as well figure out the rest of what to do later. Lying down on a bench in the courtyard, reading a book, after giving up on a decent phone connection. The only problem, he could hear someone on the floor above him. From the sounds of it, they weren't having a good conversation. Trevor put down his book and looked up.
You don't get to say that! I don't care! You...
There she was, his shining nightmare, pacing back and forth, crying, screaming, throwing her hands up. Good to see she wasn't just like that with him. Trevor attempted to ignore her, but after a minute, he gave up. He moved to the busy lobby. Busy with layover customers, he sat down only to be prodded by a little kid. No rest for the weary.
Can I help you?
Can I help you?
I'm asking you.
I'm asking you.
Are you just repeating what I say?
Are you just...
Oi, who are you?
A man ran up, grabbing the kid's hand, ready to murder Trevor. Trevor threw his hands up, while the kid just started laughing. Maybe this day would get worse. The concierge ran up.
Is there a problem?
He was talking to my...
I'm getting something to eat. Tell me what you guys decide to do.
Giving up and not caring what happens next, Trevor waves them both off. The concierge looked confused.
Hey, get back here.
They must have gotten bored. No one chased him after all. After a half hour of wandering, he found a restaurant nearby. It was overly crowded. Only one table that he could squeeze into. When he looked up, he saw the same girl from before.
Son of a... Hey, listen now. I don't want any trouble.
Are you following me?
What did I just say? I'm not sure what's going on, but for what it's worth, I'm sorry.
Were you listening in on my call?
When you shout, words like listening don't apply.
I'm not mad at you. I'm just not in the mood to be hit on or bothered right now. Why does everything have to suck? I'm not even hungry. I just want today to pass. It's been the worst day of my life. You couldn't understand.
Trevor grinned, tapping his cheek, which made him wince a little. She looked at him expressionlessly, and then broke out into a fit of laughter.
Let's see. I was kicked off my flight by an air marshal who needed my seat. Last time I used that airline, he wasn't too nice about it either. Glad I have at least one of my two bags. I'm Trevor.
Grace, I'm sorry for the way I've been acting. I'm usually not this crazy.
They sat and talked, laughed even, drinking coffee and trying everything on the menu they could half pronounce. For the first time since he was kicked off his flight, Trevor's day seemed to get better. That was until he mentioned the phone call. He laughed at one of his jokes and felt her hand before he could see it.
Ow! What did I say?
She ran. Not a shuffle, not a fast-paced walk, but ran away. The place was so crowded, Trevor almost had to admire her for it. He sat drinking his coffee, trying to think what he said that offended her.
She laughed at that joke. No. Was it mentioning the phone call? Crap. Maybe I am stupid.
The town was one of those small, beautiful landmarks to a stranger. A hot day, a few buildings that had something interesting to see, which only lasted moments instead of hours. No ocean to view, no mountains to climb, just a small block in the middle of nowhere. Trevor sat on a park bench, a little old lady next to him. He didn't notice her at first and almost screamed.
Where did you come from? You scared me. Probably can't understand me anyway.
Trevor watches her as she throws a handful of seeds at a flock of pigeons, then fly over, pecking at the ground. He noticed the relaxed smile on her face. If only he could feel that at peace.
I don't know why I'm still thinking about her. Masochistic, she said. Doesn't she have my number? I'm supposed to be on the adventure of a lifetime with my friends. And now I'm not sure I know where I am, to be honest.
Oh, dearie.
You are where you're meant to be.
Trevor paused, his jaw open.
You can understand me. Isn't this great?
Going there, thinking about what happened. That's your problem. You're always somewhere else. Be where you are, right now.
I don't follow.
The old woman laughs and points at the pigeons, happily flying, jumping around each other, pecking at the ground, picking up birdseed.
They won't be here forever. Once they're done, they'll fly off and get more food or find somewhere to sleep. Right now, all they care about is eating. Feed the pigeons and you'll understand.
So, you're saying I need to calm down and just take everything in strides.
If it works for the pigeons, it'll work for anyone.
Trevor held his hands out. The old woman dumped a few grains of seed into his hand. He threw it and watched the birds swarm him. He sat on that bench for a little longer, still cradling his book, the old woman long gone. Just the setting sun and pigeons for comfort. He saw some kids running back and forth, kicking a soccer ball, laughing. The way the sunset hit the park. The way the people walked, some hand in hand, some alone. Trevor started to understand.
You know what? She's right. I can't win in this situation, so I won't even play.
Trevor sat in the lobby, watching someone else going through the same problem.
The airport must have made a mistake.
How could you have booked us both in the same room?
Trevor looked up and saw it was Grace, arguing with that same impassive teenager. He wanted to laugh. It was funny how her face never faltered or changed, no matter how aggressive or frustrated Grace got.
There's nothing we can do for you.
Nothing? Get him a room.
I'm sorry. We're all booked up. Why can't you just share a room with you?
He's a stranger, that's why. This is ridiculous. Where's the manager?
He's out for a while.
Is there anyone I can talk to?
No.
No? What do you mean no?
Trevor slapped his knee and got up. There wasn't much point to letting Grace get arrested for assault. He walked over and put a hand on her shoulder.
Grace, don't worry about it.
You're not sleeping with me.
It was easy to get offended, the way she tore into him. He could see it in her eyes, the way her hair was messed up. This wasn't about him, or the situation right now. She scoffed and flipped her hand through her hair. Trevor just gestured towards the couch in the lobby.
I wasn't planning on it. The couch will do fine right here.
You're just going to sleep in the lobby?
Problem solved. I'll sleep on my flight over, if I can get them to redeem the ticket.
Trevor walked away before she could argue. It was obvious Grace was used to getting her way until recently. He wasn't in the mood for a fight. It wasn't worth it. After tonight, he'd be on his way to Sydney and spend the next week with his friends. Eventually, the shops around town closed, and the hotel's bar filled up. Couples, friends, and some airline customers, including the man from earlier, who was far too drunk to notice Trevor sitting by the edge of the bar.
I'm sorry, I'm here with my boyfriend.
Oi. A boyfriend? Yeah, I don't see any boyfriend.
He's right here.
Trevor looked up. The ball was about to drop, and Grace power walked right towards him. Before he could react, she leaned in and kissed him.
Sorry, honey. I had to go back to our room to pick up something.
No problem.
Oi. Forget this.
Grace pulled away and sat down next to Trevor. Sitting down wasn't a good explanation. She plopped down, burying her head in her hands. Trevor looked between her and the bar and raised his hand to get the bartender's attention.
What are you doing?
I don't know what you've been through, or why you've been glaring at me since that man left. But you need a drink.
First the room, and the drink. I'm wondering...
For the last time, I'm not trying to sleep with you. Think about the pigeons.
What?
Never mind. Right now, you see the ball dropping. I'm supposed to be in Sydney with my friends partying, celebrating, watching fireworks go off. I'm not supposed to be here, and I'm guessing neither are you. Let's make the best of it and stop worrying so much.
I'll have...
Trevor watched her order from the menu. Out of the corner of his eye, the man seemed to have multiplied. Now, 3 of them, standing in the corner, looking at him and Grace.
I'll be right back.
Trevor?
She looked up and watched Trevor walking up to the guys.
Listen, we've both had a long day. So why don't you do us both a favor and scram?
And why would I do that? I'm allowed to stand where I want to.
It's not gonna happen. The lady's not your type.
Aye, and she's yours.
How about she's no one's? And try not to look so damn pathetic lurking after her.
Aye, what did you say?
As the man threw a punch at Trevor's face, he wondered for a second if that kid was even his, or part of some kind of scheme to rip off tourists. Either way, with the day he'd had, it seemed like a perfect conclusion. It's not like he hadn't been hit a few times already today. Trevor felt himself fall backwards. Grace was holding his hand.
Grace!
I really can't tell if you're masochistic or stupid.
Without looking, Grace pulls out a canister of pepper spray and catches all 3 of them in the eyes. Thrashing about, security quickly pulls them away. The concierge, with a dull and bored expression, escorted them out, while staring at Trevor and Grace with an almost human level of frustration.
You saved me.
3 giant guys? What was your plan exactly?
Go all Bruce Lee on them.
And how did that work out?
I froze and wondered if that kid from earlier was his, or if they were a part of some kind of scam.
What kid? Hopeless. You're absolutely hopeless.
I suppose so. But the way he was staring at you, I didn't like it. I was afraid once they saw we weren't staying in the same place, they'll break in.
I can handle myself.
I can see that. It wasn't that. I just can't stand those kind of guys.
No one can. I'm surprised they haven't died off. I'm sorry about everything.
We all have bad days.
It's no excuse.
How about we call it a reason?
The room started to dance. Grace and Trevor were the only ones standing still. For a second, they tried to leave the dance floor, but they were completely trapped. Trevor pulled out some moves that caused Grace to laugh.
I'm sorry too. Whatever I said to you before.
I don't even remember. I ran away from my fiancé. I know it sounds cliche, but I was supposed to be here with him. Or really Sydney with him.
What happened? You know what? It doesn't matter.
I happened. Everyone wanted me to marry him. Everyone but me. He was fine, a nice guy, good job, but my parents set us up. I always wanted to travel and see new places. Anyway, he didn't. He was fine with his routine and thought I was silly for wanting anything else. You think you can make things work out just with the sheer force of will?
Nothing's that easy, or else I'd be in Sydney right now.
You heard me fighting with my mom. They pretty much disowned me for leaving him. It's bad enough leaving him to everything I've ever known behind, but having nowhere to turn to, finding some strange guy gawking at me while I'm half naked, I just lost it.
How about a clean start?
A clean start?
I don't know where you've been, but right now, we're on a dance floor. Let's live it up a little.
What about tomorrow? And...
You gotta feed the pigeons. We're going the same way. You can hang out with my friends. Just don't yell at them. the way you yelled at me. They might not be as civil as I am.
And they danced, and drank, laughed, and talked. When the ball dropped, they shouted with everyone else in the bar.
3, 2, 1. Happy New Year!
They kissed, and they didn't stop. Maybe it was the watered-down drinks. Maybe it was the moment, surrounded by a sea of strangers. Trevor felt Grace's hands digging into his back. The night was a blur of passion and pleasure, what they both needed in that moment. Trevor woke up, his head throbbing a little. As he slowly sat up, the sheets fell from his chest. He realized he was naked. Not sure to stretch, laugh, or lay back down in bed, he sat up.
Guess I got the room after all. Grace?
He knew it was too good to be true. Trevor got dressed, found his bag. He didn't even remember carrying it with him. Either way, he had a plane to catch. Walking out to the lobby, he saw the concierge with a grin on her face. She didn't say anything, which suited Trevor just fine. However, he turned his head as someone called his name.
Trev, you're up? I was about to bring some coffee into what passes for a breakfast bar here.
Sounds perfect right now.
Before Trevor could make up his mind to hug, kiss, or high-five her, Grace leaned in and kissed them a little too long.
Good morning to you two.
We better hurry up. Our taxi is going to be here soon.
What's the chance they'll let us on this flight?
It doesn't matter. We'll figure something out.
That's the spirit. But first, I need some coffee.
A Momentary Delay was written and directed by Justin Morton, produced by Sasha Bloor, edited by Sasha Bloor, Justin Morton, and E.S. Henry, with music and sound effects by Epidemic Sound, starring Gary Scales, Megan Taylor, E.S. Henry, EVH, Sasha Bloor, and narrated by yours truly, Matt Raffles.
Yeah, I am on my way up. I won't slow down. Yeah, I am on my way up. I won't slow down. To be broken, and I know what it's like when nothing goes your way. So I'm just gonna let myself enjoy the fruit from this lucky day. Yeah, I am on my way up. I won't slow down, 'cause I am on my way up. I won't slow down. Yeah, I am on my way. I won't slow down. I am on my way.